A massive drug smuggling operation was recently uncovered in Argentina. Russian authorities reportedly received a tip from a Russian diplomat about several suspicious suitcases that were being stored at the Russian embassy in Argentina. When officials at the embassy investigated the contents of the 16 large suitcases, they found nearly 900 pounds of very high-quality cocaine, with an estimated street value of more than $60 million. In a series of events right out of a movie, the Russian government worked with the Argentine government to collaborate on a major sting operation to bring down this drug smuggling network. After authorities allegedly discovered the nearly half a ton of cocaine, they reportedly replaced the cocaine with flour and sent the suitcase to its final destination in Russia, as planned, and arrested the men who attempted to retrieve the shipment. In all, 6 people who were allegedly involved in the drug smuggling operation were arrested. Among them was a former Russian diplomatic officer and a member of the Argentine police. While many believe this story should be focused on the international collaboration, the investigation, and the successful sting operation that is said to have brought down this drug smuggling network, instead, the story has triggered a lot of controversy, as the official stories between the two governments don't match up. For instance, the Argentine government has claimed that the drug smuggling ring was using a Russian diplomatic plane to transport the cocaine to Russia. Russia has denied any involvement of the Russian diplomatic plane. But this isn't just any diplomatic plane. It is said to be the equivalent of the presidential plane that transports high-ranking Russian government officials. The Argentine police released an image of the plane said to be involved, and a Russian flight tracking website had verified the tail number that matched as one of the Russian government planes that ferries VIPs around the world. The Russian government has since taken the website offline. Another flight tracking website revealed that before the plane reached Russia, it had landed in Bangkok, leaving many to believe that the head of the Russian National Security Council, Patrushev, was on board the flight, adding to the controversy. Of course, Russia officially denied these reports, calling them fake news. Regardless of these disputed facts, one thing both sides agree upon is that the nearly 900 pounds of cocaine was being stored at the Russian embassy in Argentina, in an area associated with a school, which may be explained by the former Russian diplomatic officer who was arrested in connection with the drug ring was previously stationed at that embassy. A former supply manager for the embassy who was also detained for questioning by the FSB revealed in his testimony that he was sending suitcases on Russian military transport planes for his former colleague since 2012, where he earned $1,000 per suitcase. But he claims he believed the contents of the suitcases contained alcohol and cigars and not cocaine. A concerned Russian parent whose child attended the school at the embassy stated he believes the official story from the Russian government is a lie. The man named Maxim Miryanov, who is a professor and a blogger, believes that there is no way this operation could have been carried out without the knowledge of the Russian government, as the embassy is essentially a fortress guarded by Russian FSB 24/7. And the parents of the children who attend the school are not even allowed to enter the premises. This resulted in the Russian government officially responding to the parent with a harsh response, denying any government involvement or knowledge, adding that the parent was trying to make a name for himself while spitting on Russia and questioned his loyalty. As for the alleged mastermind of the operation, he was just arrested in Germany and claims it was all the CIA. That's right. Andrei Kovalchuk claims he was smuggling coffee and booze into Russia and not cocaine. Kovalchuk claims the CIA was working with the Argentine police to sabotage Russia and frame them for this massive drug smuggling operation. Now, it has been documented that embassies are often used as fronts for their nation's intelligence agencies. It has also been documented that there are covert operations run by various intelligence agencies like the CIA who smuggle drugs and weapons to pay for their black budgets or covert operations. So would it be foolish to outright dismiss that Russia may have its own similar operation in place, which was exposed here? And now these men, whether they were involved or not, are going to take the fall. At this point, no one can prove the CIA was involved, although it may be foolish to rule that out as well. Although it seems highly unlikely that the CIA was able to gain access to the heavily guarded Russian embassy and switch out the supposed coffee and booze with 900 pounds of cocaine. But maybe they were the ones who tipped off the right Russian officials. At this point, no one can prove that the highest levels of the Russian government were directly involved or had knowledge, but no one can deny that certain elements of the Russian government were indeed involved in this operation. We will continue to monitor this situation, as well as many other stories we are covering here at Newsbud. Now let's take a quick look at what Newsbud subscribers got just in the last week for their monthly subscription. Our Russia expert breaks down the crisis in Ukraine as their government is on the brink of collapse. Our China expert explains what the mainstream media could not, as he breaks down the latest hysteria surrounding the rising dictatorship in China. Our constitutional expert exposes how America's endless wars may actually lead to the fall of the U.S. empire. But first, Newsbud is only funded through your donations and subscriptions, and we do appreciate and count on your support to make what we do here possible. A monthly subscription costs practically nothing and will provide you with full access to all of the amazing content our distinguished team of experts produce here at Newsbud on a daily basis. On Newsbud's Geopolitical Report with Kurt Nimmo, Nimmo exposes the little-known, old and shadowy branch of the deep state whose own doctrine could be considered the blueprint for the shadow government's agenda, which includes dumbing down the population, establishing a world government, manufacturing economic meltdowns, population control, and much more. Many sites throw around the term deep state, but Newsbud exposes specifically who they are by name and reveals their plans for world domination.
Walter Rathenau, a German statesman who served as foreign minister during the Weimar Republic and also as a financial advisor to the Rothschilds, wrote in 1921 that only 300 men, each of whom knows all others, govern the fate of Europe. They selected their successors from their own entourage. These men and their ancestors have the means at their disposal to put an end to democracy and social constructs which they find unreasonable. 6 months after writing this, Rathenau was assassinated. Coleman's monograph lays out the objectives of the 300, many which are today plainly obvious in the political and social realms.
This is a must-see video report by Newsbud's Kurt Nimmo, and the full video is exclusively available right now for members at newsbud.com. Non-members can watch it now at Newsbud Vimeo On Demand. Each week on Newsbud's Russian newspaper monitor, Professor Kovacevic deconstructs the headlines in the Russian newspapers while providing expert analysis. In this week's episode, Professor Kovacevic examines the current political crisis in the Ukraine that not many sites are reporting. The current crisis is so bad, this current puppet regime may collapse, possibly sending the country into further chaos, as the Ukraine may be on the brink of direct military conflict with Russia, which is being instigated by NATO and the West.
Considering the present chaos, the overall Russian influence will grow in the coming months and years, which may eventually lead to the division of the country into several autonomous fragments. No wonder the West has intensified the talk of sending the UN peacekeepers, because this has been a traditional way of preserving the existing geopolitical status quo.
Also, find out about new changes in the Russian military to counter U.S.-NATO cyber attacks. Plus, Professor Kovacevic analyzes the divide-and-conquer strategy that is said to be responsible for the collapse of the Soviet Union, the same divide-and-conquer strategy that the Atlantists hope will bring Russia to its knees. This is must-see news and analysis, and you will not find it anywhere but newsbud.com, so be sure to become a member today. And if you want to preview our work, check us out at Newsbud Vimeo On Demand. Over the past several days, the media has been screaming about tyranny. No, not about the eroding freedoms and ever-expanding surveillance and police state here in the United States, but the news that China may be amending its constitution to abolish term limits, allowing the current Chinese President Xi Jinping to run for an unprecedented third term. Well, this week on Newsbud's China Watch, Peter Lee breaks down what exactly this means and what to expect if China does end term limits.
The usual suspects have their knickers in a knot concerning the proposal by the Chinese Communist Party to remove presidential term limits from the Constitution of the People's Republic of China. This means that Xi Jinping could serve more than 2 terms as president of the PRC. He's already in his 2nd term. Does this mean tyranny? Thoughts? Rosie Blau of The Economist. When there was a 2-term limit, we were sometimes able to kid ourselves that China wasn't a dictatorship. No longer Emperor Xi. And what say you, Guardian? Dictator for life. Xi Jinping's power grab condemned as step toward tyranny. Well, Tyranny in China, as every good China hand knows, is not exercised by the President of the People's Republic of China. It is exercised by the Chinese Communist Party. The PRC is, per that constitution, under the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party. The CCP decides who the president of the PRC is going to be.
Peter also breaks down the history of term limits here in the United States, plus find out about some major covert destabilizations by the West, which are currently targeting China and its allies, and how China is responding. Subscribing members at Newsbud have been commenting that they really like the humorous element that Peter adds to his weekly shows. The full video is available right now for members at newsbud.com. Non-members can watch and share at Newsbud Vimeo on demand. This week, Kurt Nimmo wrote an exclusive article for Newsbud titled Gun Control Mass Murder, the 25th Anniversary of the Waco Siege. For those of you not old enough to remember the Waco Siege, or for those of you who may have believed the media's lies at the time surrounding the tragic events in Waco, Texas, you need to read this article. Even those of you who are well aware of the illegal, immoral, and murderous actions taken by the U.S. government, everyone needs to read this Newsbud exclusive, where Nimmo documents the violations of the Constitution, where the U.S. government brought in the military to engage in what should have been a domestic police situation, and instead turned into one of the largest mass casualty events in U.S. history, killing 82 men, women, and children. Find out how this was a crisis that was pushed to the limit by the Clinton administration in an attempt to justify gun control, with fuel being added to the fire by the media demonizing the victims until much of the U.S. public wanted blood. Folks, the Waco massacre was one of the darkest moments in recent U.S. history, but as Nimmo points out, it pales in comparison to the millions of innocent people slaughtered by the United States military in their illegal wars just since World War II. The full article is available for members at newsbud.com. If you want to preview our latest work, you can go to Newsbud Vimeo on demand. And when you subscribe or buy the Newsbud documentaries or rent the videos from Vimeo, you are supporting a 100% grassroots and nonpartisan news organization committed to bringing you the latest news and analysis without the fluff or the spin. So be sure to sign up today. It costs practically nothing and you will not be disappointed. This week, Newsbud's constitutional attorney John W. Whitehead documents how the U.S. has been waging endless wars while putting the tab on the credit card, so to speak. In this episode of Battlefield America, Whitehead exposes how the U.S. infrastructure is and has been rapidly deteriorating, while the U.S. government continues to borrow from foreign governments and taxes its own citizens into poverty just to keep the government and the war machine running. Find out if the U.S. empire is on the same road to destruction as other empires before it, such as Rome. The full video is available for members at newsbud.com. Non-members can watch and share at Newsbud Vimeo on demand. Newsbud also offers our own aggregated news, and we call it Sibel's Picks. It's the best source for aggregated news online. Newsbud's founder and editor Sibel Edmonds handpicks each story herself, and you get about 90 links a week. Now, if you're not a Newsbud member yet, why not join today and give us a shot? There is no contract or obligation, and it costs practically nothing. Plus, your subscription allows this independent news organization to continue to operate. Your subscription will also provide you with unlimited access to exclusive content, hundreds of videos and articles, all available at newsbud.com. From all of us here at Newsbud, thank you for your support. We're counting on it. Stay tuned for next week's lineup.